guess we'll just start with LVO Arrival. This was me and Erica's first LVO. Um, we've probably been playing a year and a half, maybe a little longer than that. I think it's 2 years, actually. I think we're 2 years in. Yeah, so it was our first LVO, our second GT. We went to the Phoenix GT. So we were excited but nervous. We didn't know exactly what to think. We did see the amount of people that were um, showing up, and it was, it was a lot bigger than the 50 we had at the Phoenix GT. So we were a bit nervous, but you know, we were. Erica was taking a list that she's played many times before, so she knew it really well. Um, Unfortunately for me, I I did not um, know what I was going to take. The army I practiced and prepped and painted was Legion of the First Prince, which rip. Um, that is no longer a thing. At least the faction we know as Legion of the First Prince. So that was unfortunate, but nothing I could do about it. I tested many lists out beforehand. I wanted to run the Archeon Varangard list in Knights of the Empty Throne because I thought that was a very good list. I played it a couple times and it was pretty good. Getting up into your opponent with Archeon and the Knights really messes with your opponent's plan because they have to really. I mean, Archeon's a great beat piece, beat stick. So you have to deal with him no matter what, and he's fast, so you can't really get away from him and just ignore him. You have to do something about him. That being said, um, the more I played with it, the more worried I was because there's not very many pieces, um, and not many ways to score battle objectives, I should say. So I decided against it, and a week before, basically, I had just an RTT the weekend before LVO. I took that Archeon list, did really poorly, and that night I swapped it out and just decided to go Giants for a smooth tournament list. I thought there's only 4 pieces to move to work with. I didn't have to be worried about uh, timing or anything like that. So I decided that was the best route to go. So I ended up taking Giants. It was only the second time I've ever played them, so I wasn't super familiar with them, but it's not that hard to use them. To use them correctly takes a little bit more effort, I'm sure, but I just kind of YOLO'd it and ended up taking those. It was easy to transport and all that, so that's what I ended up taking. But we got into Las Vegas on I think it was Thursday. Did some things on Thursday, and then started out on first round on Friday. So we'll go into round one. Or no, I guess we'll go through my list. Let's go through my list. So my list, I did oops all artifacts basically with the Giants. I took King Broad, a Gatebreaker, and 2 War Stompers. I went back and forth on the artifact for the general, but I think the best way to play Giants in my playtesting was defensive, right? So I wanted to go defensive on this. So I went with the Glowy Shield. I did the run and charge for the War Stomper, which was extremely useful throughout the tournament, which was really nice. And then, what else? Oh, I did Arcane Tome, just for an Unbind, really. That's really what I wanted it for. That and Mystic Shield, because Mystic Shield is still one of the best spells out there. So that's what I decided to do. 4 drop. So I think most of the time I had priority, so that was helpful. We'll go into what I don't think I would change anything about this list. I mean there's not very many models to this, so um, I did toy around with running Kragnos because of the amount of ogre lists. There were a lot of ogre lists and monsters still, so I was tempted. Also, there was a lot of giants lists there as well, so I was tempted to run Kragnos, but I just went easy for big monsters. So that's what I decided to do. All right, round one. This was in the presence of idols. I faced Charles, who I believe was from the UK. I don't exactly know where he was. I don't think he was from the US. But he was running the Seraphon Coalesced Kodos Claw. And going into it, I wasn't too concerned. They have a lot of mortal wounds that they can output, which is scary, but it's a lot of little mortal wounds here and there. So I wasn't entirely worried about it. But, I didn't really, I was more worried about what my lists and me running my list than the opponents I was running against. So, we went into this. Let's see. Is there anything notable about his list? Croak I didn't even kill Croak. He was incredibly difficult to deal with just because of his healing stuff. I don't think there was anything notable here on his list. So here's I tried to take pictures of all the matches. This is the start of the game. So he, weirdly, the idols that he picked were basically the two wizards in the Realmstone thing, and the little pyramid thing, and then Croak, which was weird to me. But I thought maybe he picked those because he didn't think I could get to them with my idols. So, but anyway, he actually went first, which also I was surprised with. But he went first. He kind of moved and situated, and kind of just tried to zone me out a little bit. But me being able to pick proving grounds and get that stuff out of the way, because obviously I don't have any, kind of helped. So essentially, he won every priority since the first. So I didn't think I won a single priority here. I didn't get a double turn at all. But I mean, I essentially just moved my guys up, kind of pinned him in. The War Stomper, again, the run and charge is so good. I just ran straight in into the pyramid basically, and just he had to deal with it at that point, and he couldn't really ever get onto the points because I kind of pinned him, and giants being so many models on the point, it went well. I ended up winning this game. Charles was a nice guy, though, very nice guy. The army was painted nice. It was a great match. I think in hindsight, I think we talked about it at the end. He should have. He probably should have gave me the first turn. I will say, as much as I thought it was going to be an easy match, it was tough. By the end of the round 4, round 5, I had one Gargant left, and he was just mortal wounding him to death. While they do, a lot of chip mortal wounds throughout the hero phase, I don't have a ward really, so they were just decimating the giants. I think another turn or two, he probably could have got out of that and scored some points, but at the end of the day, I ended up winning this. So it was nice. It was nice to get a win right out of the gate going into round two. Oh, who did we get? Who was that? Oh, hi, Cameron. So yeah, so round one, first match, got a win. It was nice because again, just going in with that first win, I felt good um, for taking Giants because I was so bummed about the army that I was supposed to take. So it was good to get the win. So we'll go into round two. Now I know this is probably not viewable just because the list was so long. So again, you can go look at it. But this was against Stormcast, basically some dragons, and he had the long strikes. What else was the Relictor, obviously, Nitroconus. So the dragons was definitely my biggest fear in this match. Just seeing it. This was the Prize of Galette. I was pretty nervous about this list. That being said, Ryan was an awesome dude. Um, he was one of the most fun people at the at the event. I ran into him several times throughout, even after the event, and we just talked, and he was a fun guy, fun guy to play. Anyway, so we'll get into the actual match. I actually watched Jordan at Season of Wars recap as well, and I will say the terrain makes a big difference. He was able to set up the terrain and putting those big blocks where I just couldn't get around them really hurt. Because you had to go all the way around, and it was a bummer. That was one little issue with the match. Yeah, terrain wins games absolutely. I don't know how Jordan and Season of War do their tournaments because I thought, setting up the terrain was a pretty well known thing, but I don't think they did it. So I was kind of used to it, especially Cameron being as terrain heavy as he is. I was expecting this, but I will say it does. The terrain definitely can win games for sure, 100%. So essentially, I won every priority here in this game, and I think that's the only reason I won. He rolled really well. I think he did on one of the shots for the dragons. He ended up rolling 4 5s, ended up doing like 19 mortals or 18 or 17 mortals or something to the giants. I mean, he just destroyed them. And I never actually killed all of the dragons. I killed 2 of them, I think, and the Nitroconus. But essentially, all that happened in this match was I got really lucky and won the prios, and I kind of penned him in. And it came down to the very end of the game. It came down to him either denying my battle or denying my grand strategy, or him getting his grand strategy, but he would have to get off a point. So at the end of the day, he was gonna. The best he could do was try to take out my last Gargant, which was already in his zone for my grand strat, and try to kill it in order to tie the game. And he ended up not doing that, and I think he lost by 1 or 2 points. It was a really close game. I shouldn't have won this game. It was just came down to priority rolls, and I got really lucky. This was the only game where I won a bunch of priorities. The rest of the tournament, I don't maybe 1 or 2 prio rolls I won, so it wasn't many. But yeah, this was a good game. I was pretty nervous about it, but at the end of the day, it just went in my favor. It's actually funny because throughout every match, I rolled poorly. I think against one of the Nurgle opponents, I rolled above average, I think. But it was funny because every opponent, they mentioned, just like most of my opponents, man, your rolls are really bad. So it became a thing around the club saying that, hey, Matt, that my rolls were real bad. And they were. And with Giants, it's worse because they're super swingy, right? So you have to. You have to roll somewhat decent in order to get damage off of the Giants, and that did not happen a lot of the tournament. So it's just they're tanky, and that's what I went in going with Giants, right? I went tanky and not aggressive. So anyways, that was round two. I was 2-0 at this point, and felt, pretty good. I knew as I was winning these matches, it was only going to get harder with the opponents. So it is what it is. So going to round three. And this is where everything starts to go downhill. I ended up playing 3 Nurgle players the last 3 games, and that's not good against Giants. It is not a good matchup for me. They're super tanky. They've got wards. It's hard to get things through, and they do just mortals all over the place with their disease points. So this was the start of the decline. But we'll go into this match. I played Nurgle. It was Oops All Blight Kings, basically, just a bunch of Blight Kings. He had Gut Rot to drop things. This is Silk Steel. So, good matchup for him because he can drop things behind my line, and I only have four models, right? So, I knew... I felt good about this match because I thought I would do well against Nurgle, but it turns out that's not the case. So pre-match, I felt good. I was like, oh, Nurgle, I think I can do this. I don't think... as much as the Blight Kings do damage, I thought I could stay alive with this, but it was tough. It was a tough match. Seth was a great opponent as well. Probably my second favorite opponent that I had there. Real cool guy. Ended up being right next to him on another table as well. And he was a real cool guy. But this was end of day one. So we'll go into this. Essentially, all that happened here is he put Gut Rot and 2 groups of Blight Kings on the boat, and then had 2 10s on the field, and he kind of just moved up. He took first turn, I think. No, I took first turn. He gave me the first turn. So I just moved stuff up. I got in range of the mysticals and stuff, of the mystical terrain, so I could get buffs on King Broad and whatnot. But I just moved up, got on the points as much as I could. Well, tried to move up to them. He moved up a little bit, and then it just was the 3 Gargants on the bottom. You can't see the other Gargant because it's behind the rock over there, but the 3 Gargants the 3 Gargants you see, I just moved those into the 10 Blight Kings, and I was there for a while. I did kill his general, I think round 2, which was really nice to get rid of that, because the overwhelming stench is rough, especially for Giants, not being able to use command points. So I ended up killing that, and it was just a back and forth. It ended up coming down to I would move over to his spot, and then he would deep strike in mine, and would go back and forth. And this was a rare match where each of us got all our battle tactics, each of us got our grand strategy, and we tied everything. So it was a weird match, but I was happy I didn't lose it. It came down to me killing a Nurgling is what the game came down to, and it was pretty funny. But this was the game I rolled above average, so I was pretty happy with how much I killed here. But it was a good matchup. It was by a good matchup, I mean I played really well in this. So that's what happens for round 3. End of day 1, I felt good. Going 2-0-1. I think I was 39th at the time out of 325, which is pretty cool. So day 1 was going really well. Little did I know that it was only going to get worse. But it was fun. Day 1 was fun. I think most of our our um, House of Hobbies peeps did pretty well. Cameron, I think, he went 3-0, so he was doing real well. I think Erica, I think she went 2-1. So it was a good day. I felt good. It was cool being up there in the rankings. So that was the end of day one. Going into the round four, yeah, Thomas AK Tough Guard. Yeah, Thomas Ling is, and we'll talk about it. I knew the name, so I knew he was going to be good. I didn't quite understand how good he was. He took Nurgle as well. His list was a little bit more all over the place. He had Blight Kings. He had the Beasties. I'm still not quite sure on the Rotmeier Creed. I know a lot of Nurgle players take that. I'm not quite sure. They didn't do much in our game. Maybe it's just because I was Giants. I don't know quite. I don't quite understand the Rotmeier Creed, and that was one of the things I didn't really know um, going into round four. We played Realmstone Cache, so I thought this was going to turn out well for me. I made some bad plays, and he capitalized on it. He also used the terrain to his advantage, and he's just a really smart player, and it showed. So this was, I think it was halfway through round one. I pushed all up, and I actually, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done this. This was a big mistake by me. I ended up going first, and I probably should have gone second. I don't know if it would have mattered, because while I could have chosen that as the GV, he was going to get a GV eventually. And that, obviously, I mean, my turn one was so bad. I didn't really have a good battle tactic to do. I tried to run into his tree behind the building over there, and that was my battle tactic, was to try to destroy it, because I really didn't have anything else I could do. His Blight Kings were Conquerors, so there wasn't really much I could do, and I didn't get any points turn one. So that was already really unfortunate, and I felt real bad after that. And he capitalized from there on out. He was just a really smart player. He knew exactly what he was doing. It was cool to play against him. So that was really the match. He just outplayed me in every circumstance. He used the terrain really well, and not as a Giants player, not being able. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have gone turn one. I shouldn't have gone first, but there was a point, and I know Thomas was mad about it because I know he was going for as many battle tactics as possible. I mean, that's what you want to do in a GT, but there was a turn. I don't remember what turn it was, but there was a point where he didn't get any points either. So it kind of went back and forth with points. He didn't get so many points and just completely, decimate me. It was back and forth, but he made a lot of smart decisions. He was able to set up the terrain too, and I really do feel like that really was a disadvantage for me. What else was notable about this game? I don't think really a whole lot. He did deep strike me in the back with gut rot and some Rotmeier, but they weren't really a problem. He was just trying to kind of get me split up. Oh yeah, I did play next to Ridge, and it was awesome. It was good talking to Ridge. That was the first time I talked to one of the Season of War guys. Those guys are really cool. And who else did I play again? I played right next to Colt. I think Colt went up against Ridge, and Colt ended up winning. I think that was Ridge's only loss. But yeah, those Season War guys were cool. But yeah, so that was round four. I was pretty bummed because at that point I was 2-1, and the undefeated was no longer. So it was it was only gonna last so long. But we go into round five, and this match, I didn't even get a picture of this match. I was pretty tired by round five, and I played against Lionel with X Planet. I think it was with X Planet Games, and he was a cool dude, but his list is miserable. It was just a bunch of Beast Nurgle, and at first I was like, okay, I can probably deal with this, right? Uh, and instantly regretted it. I threw the War Stomper out in the middle turn one. Oh, this is Nidus Pass. So he was able to teleport stuff. Not too much of a concern. I didn't even get a picture for this. Essentially, he just had so many Beasts of Nurgle everywhere. And the issue with that, with the Giants, is I can't. You can only target one Beast of Nurgle at a time because otherwise you risk not being able to kill anything, right? So it's really bad for Giants. And then he's got so many mortal wounds in and out of combat. Yeah, it was totally MPE. I'll get into that in a second, but so I had to target one at a time, and I killed a lot of Beasts of Nurgle, believe it or not, but it just wasn't enough, and it just was not a real fun game to play. Especially last round was not fun. I mean, Lionel knew that too. He was a cool dude, and he played the list well. And I don't fault anyone for playing lists like this because it's a GT with so many people. If you want to spam a unit and that's your method, go for it. Like, more power to you, right? But from a playing perspective, it sucks. It was a bad match to play. It was not fun. It was very miserable. I didn't realize quite how much damage those Beasts of Nurgle do too. Is with Horticulus. They put up a lot of damage. But yeah, so that was it was not fun. He knew it, but it was funny. One of his X Planet game teammates came over and he gave him crap too for playing such a bad MPE list. But I don't fault anyone for doing it. You know, if you can do it, do it. There was a time when I was running Legion of the First Prince, and I mean that's already MPE, right? But I was running it with all Furies, and like just all Furies. Oops, all Furies, and it was I'm sure not fun to play against, but boy, it was fun to play. Furies are pretty fun. But yeah, so he ended up winning that game. That was the hardest loss. Like Giants just don't do well with that match, and so that was it. I ended up going 2-2-1, so not below 500. So that's good. All the people that I played against were great, and just the environment was awesome. And I'm sure anyone at LVO can tell you the same. So that was pretty awesome. What did I do? Yeah, so I ended day 2 thoughts. The rest of the Hobbies group, House of Hobbies group did well. I mean, Cameron went 5-0, so dab. And he was playing top 8, didn't have to play the shadow round, so that's awesome. The fact that you can get through 325 people like that is awesome. Yeah, for real, dab. It was fun. I think everyone had a good time. Erica played her butt off. She got 3-2, which is awesome. I think Jared went 3-2. But it was fun. What else we got? This is it for the conclusion. Definitely would go back to LVO next year. That's the plan. We'll try to make this a reoccurring thing. I think it was fun. I think Erica had a good time. So I think it was fun. If you haven't already, go check out the Twitter. I got the Twitter up, obviously Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. I got all those up. So if you haven't gone already, just subscribe, follow, all that stuff.